Once again, Destined to be Goblin goes international. Today we go north of the border to try to determine who has the best snack cakes, the US or Canada. Goblins and Goblinettes, welcome back to another edition of Destined to be Goblin. Destined Goblin here. This is where I will try a food product of some kind, maybe something you didn't even know existed, and I will decide whether or not I should give it my Destined Goblin seal of approval. Okay, just a little bit of a setup for this one. If you have been watching me for a while, you know that I have been having a little bit of a back and forth discussion with a guy who runs a very good channel, a very good friend of mine. His name is Chris Fothergill-Brown, and he runs the YouTube channel That's Rank. I will put a link to his channel in the description of this video, so if you haven't subscribed to him yet, head over there, check out his videos, give him some love. Great stuff on that channel. Now, Chris and I have had a little bit of a back and forth as far as snacks go. One of us says that the best snacks are in Canada. One of us says that the best snacks are in the United States. Now, me being in the United States and Chris being in Canada, you would think that Chris would say that Canada has the best snacks, and I would say that the US has the best snacks. It is the opposite. Chris always says that we get the best snacks here in the United States, and I always say Canada gets the best flavors. Now, one place where that is different is in our snack cake assessment. I grew up on Little Debbie snack cakes. I grew up on Hostess. I grew up on Entenmann's, but Little Debbie was always my favorite. Chris grew up on Vachon's. Vachon's is the big snack cake in Canada. Chris hates Little Debbie. I have never tried Vachon's. Mrs. Goblin and I recently had an opportunity to go to Winnipeg, to visit Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and we're actually going back there pretty soon. When I was there, I scored a boatload of Canadian snacks. And if I haven't already released some videos on some of those snacks, you will be seeing them shortly. But some of the things that I picked up were some Vachon snacks. Now, Chris said there were 3 specific flavors that I needed to pick up at a minimum to get those 3 flavors. I found all 3 of those. I've got all 3 of those here today. I'm going to try them, and I will make a determination if I think Vachon's is actually better than Little Debbie. We will see how that goes. I do have my Fargo wood chipper mug loaded with some nice cold water there. I was actually going to fill that with some nice cold milk, and then I looked at the calorie counts on these snack cakes, and I thought, why add some extra calories, even though milk goes great with a snack cake, but I figured I would just go with water for these. We're going to go ahead and start with, I've got 3 flavors here again. One of them is a little different, and the other 2 are chocolate-based. So we're going to start with this one that is a little bit different. This one is called Passion Flakie. So we've got apple raspberry right there. Now, it's interesting if you ever do get a chance to visit Canada, especially to visit Winnipeg. Don't know if it's the same all over or not, but a lot of the things that you're going to see there have French as the first language on the box. So I think that's kind of cool. You know, a lot of times you see products in the United States that will have English and then maybe Spanish on it, maybe, you know, another language, but English is always the first language that you'll see on the box. In a lot of cases in those products that I found in Winnipeg, French is the first language. So 100 years right there. There is a little, there's a lot of information on the back of these. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but there is a little description of each of the snack cakes on the back of the box. So I am going to read those descriptions for these. This one, the Passion Flakie. Open up this light flaky pastry and you'll discover a creamy filling and apple and raspberry flavored confection, tempting you with their sweet and fruity aromas. So that sounds pretty good. Nutrition information on these. One cake is 250 calories. So there we go. I was talking about those calorie counts being kind of high on these. So I'm going to try to avoid any extra calories here today if possible. 6 pastries in this container. Let's get these open. I was thinking that the names of some of these are pretty unusual, and you're going to see as we go on here some unusual names. But then I started thinking about the names of the snack cakes that you'll find in the United States, and you're looking at Twinkies, Ho-Hos, Ding Dongs. Maybe Passion Flakie isn't that unusual, but there is a Passion Flakie, and again, this is apple raspberry. Both of those flavors are favorites of mine, so I don't have anything against apple or raspberry. I'm not sure if the camera's... Yeah, I think the camera's going to pick up. You can see some sugar crystals on the top of that. This is very light. I can tell that this is definitely flaky. I find it interesting, though, that it's passion flaky. I would have thought maybe with a name like that, might have been passion fruit in there. But apple and raspberry is what we're talking about here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and try a little bit of this cream. Well, maybe. Before I get to it, I thought that that was going to be a little bit lighter than what I actually came away with. It is a thicker cream. It is something, I think, without having tasted it yet, it seems to be the type of cream that you would get in something maybe like a Ho-Ho, that little bit of a thicker cream. Let's see. Ooh, that cream is good. It's nice and sweet, but it's not overly sweet. I'm just going to go ahead and take a bite of this and see what we have here. Passion Flaky. Wow. I was not expecting that to be that good. There is a ton of that cream in there. If you look at the top, you can see all of that cream packed in there, and then you've got that jelly-like filling on the bottom. That was an impressive first bite. The cake is very flaky. It is reminiscent of, I wanted to say strudel, but I think it's actually even lighter and airier than strudel. This is good. The balance of cream to pastry, the ratio of pastry to cream is perfect. You get all of the flavor in every bite. You get the sweetness of the cream. You get the texture of the jelly. You get the crunch of the flaky pastry. This is very impressive. The one thing that I would say, maybe just a little knock on this, is I don't know how much this reminds me of either apple or raspberry, as much as just a sort of a combination of the two, just sort of a sweetness, a sweet filling. I don't know that I'm really picking up individual flavors of either apple or raspberry, but the sweetness and the flavor is very good. All right, little Debbie, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Caramel or caramel, if you prefer, however you say it. Tomato, tomato. Oh, caramel. The original caramel. These are the perfect sweet treat. A delicious cake with a chocolatey coating, overflowing with smooth caramel, surrounded by a creamy filling. 260 calories for 2 cakes. So there we go. I get a little bit of a break on this one. Maybe I can just eat one and keep the calorie counts down a little bit. But let's try these. Again, the company is Vachon, and do not look for these in the United States. You're going to have to go to Canada to get these. And we are looking at 12 cakes in this package. But as you see there, they do come packaged 2 in each individual wrapper here. So that's why we've got 2 cakes for our 260 calories. I've got to say again, I was really impressed with that first one. That was fantastic. I am usually not somebody who likes that type of very light, almost turnover. That's what I was thinking of. That turnover pastry with the sugar kind of crystallized on the top and that very light, flaky type of pastry. I usually like a little bit more of a cake or something like that, but that was very, very good. Okay, here's one of those caramel. So there's a look at you can see the cake kind of peeking through the chocolate. Obviously, we've got a big pocket of something right there. I'm guessing that might be the caramel. But here we go. Did it say, let me just double check on this again. It is a chocolatey coating overflowing with smooth caramel surrounded by a creamy filling. So, okay. Here we go. Caramel. Oh. Oh. Wow. Canada, you came to play. Wow. You know what? The very first flavor that I got hit with that was salt. I got a little punch of salt, and then I got that chocolate and that cream that is surrounding that caramel, and then I got that caramel, and the salt immediately balanced the sweetness of that whole cake. Oh, little Debbie, I think you might be in trouble. Just look at the way that caramel is flowing. That is so soft, so gooey. If I had gotten these in my lunchbox at school, yeah, I don't think little Debbie would have had a chance. I am definitely picking up notes of salt here, and that is fantastic. So many times I want that little bit of saltiness in my sweet snacks. It just balances everything, and it just brings a whole different level to whatever item it is that you're eating. Wow, this is good. I've heard Chris talk about these Vachon cakes so many times that I anticipated they were going to be good. But I kind of thought it was maybe just a factor of sort of defending your childhood favorite like I have always done with Little Debbie. But this is on a different playing field. Okay, and finally, the one that I've been very curious about right from the start, Jos Louis. Jos Louis, like, I mean, I had to do a little research on this one to find out why these were called Jos Louis. It turns out that the couple that started Vachon Cakes, their sons were named Joe and Louis, and Joseph and Louis, and so that is what they named these after their two sons. An irresistible combination of sponge cake and creamy filling coated in a delicious chocolatey layer. 250 calories for one cake. So, again, not small calorie counts on these at all. And we have 6 cakes from Jos Louis. Down goes little Debbie. That was Joe Frazier, but anyways, here is a Jos Louis cake. Let's try this one. Okay, before I even taste this one, I can immediately tell you this is a ding-dong. Is it better than a ding-dong? That is going to be the question. I can tell just from the way this feels, the way this looks, this is going to be just like a ding-dong, but is it better? Do you see the difference there between this and a ding-dong? Do you see what I'm looking at right here? That is red velvet cake. Oh my. I'm getting the little bit of salt in this one as well. The chocolate is decadent. It is deep. It is rich. The cake itself is nice and spongy. It's nice and light. Yeah, this is fantastic. I don't have words. Vachon, the one little knock that I would have would be to say that those passion flaky cakes, the filling wasn't quite apple raspberry flavor. It was a fantastic flavor overall. These are excellent. This is easily a 3-star seal of approval. All right, Chris, you win this one. I have to give that to you. I guess Vachon is better than Little Debbie. Those cakes are fantastic. I still think Canada gets the better flavors in their chips, though. And that is something that I don't think you're going to change my mind on. I will catch you next time.